touch. You got the touch.
This is Stan Bush, and this epic video from Optibotimus truly has the touch.
This is optibotimus coming with another video review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Prime Beast Hunter Deluxe Class Skystalker, the next kind of dragon in the whole Beast Hunter saga. As you can see coming around here to the side, he's Series 2, Figure 9, basically Wave 3 of the Deluxe Class figures. Does come with a Cryo Strike double disc launcher, and you got a very big packaging, again like with a lot of the dragons. As you can see, it's a much wider package. Same height and everything in terms of the card, just the bubble itself is a little bit bigger. Now, something about this really does grab me. I love the look on this. It's kind of like an ice dragon or something I like to think of. Just with this nice blue, you got the light blue and the white. I love the way that it looks. So I'm really impressed with the paint so far. Come around here, you see his technical data. You got an image of the toy there. You got on the bottom the other figures. In terms of deluxe forms, you got Bulkhead, which was in Wave 2, Dreadwing, and Autobot Ratchet, which are also in this new wave. You got the proof of purchase. Come around here to the back. You got the standard image of the Autobots from Transformers Prime. You got the Dragon mode, of course, the Robot mode. And it says Skystalker is an ice-cold Predacon warrior with the power to annihilate all who stand before him. Really very cool, but again, small bio on here. Obviously, the instructions may carry that over, so we'll see. You got the double disc launcher, and his tail becomes a mace. So again, the tail is becoming a weapon, which usually kind of sucks on a lot of these figures, but we'll see. The transformation is level 2, but to be totally honest, it really just kind of looks like you stand him up with a lot of the dragons like we've gotten before. So there's the packaging for him. So let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Skystalker open up and out of its packaging, and of course we're going to be going on with Chapter 12 of the Beast Hunter saga, which is continued on from Chapter 11, Voyager's Shockwave, and as you can see, nice image of Skystalker right there, very kind of, well, Skystalker-ish looking. He does come with his Cryo Strike disc launchers. It says a perfectly silent, ideal for sneak attacks. Temperature can be adjusted to melt or freeze targets. Can generate a blinding flash of light on impact to disorient enemies. And then, for the little extension of his bio, it says Skystalker slides from the murky numbness of his hyper-evolution chamber and into the heat of battle. His spark aches to join the battle, but his instincts tell him to wait, to understand where he is. Even as the battle between Smokescreen and Shockwave continues to rage, he takes a moment to look around. He stands in a room full of unfamiliar equipment, a room he nonetheless recognizes as a laboratory in which he, and possibly other Predacons, have been experimented on. His cold, calculating mind is suddenly submerged in anger. His wings spread, and a devastating barrage of white-hot discs fly, burning, blasting, and melting all around him. So, he definitely sounds like he's not too happy with being a Predacon and being experimented on. So really very interesting. And again, look at this figure. I love the way that this guy looks. Absolutely, like I said, looks like a very kind of ice sort of dragon. I mean, this guy is very cool looking. Probably one of my favorite looking of all of the dragons that we've gotten so far. The very light blue, the little darker blue, the white, all come together and really accentuate the way that this guy looks and give a very unique look and feel to him. And I do understand that some people really don't like this guy. A lot of people have kind of said that basically you just stand him up and you transform him. And honestly, there is some of that in this, but it's a little bit more involved than I thought it would be. For his dragon mode, though, you can see that he does have the leg, basically. You got the articulation here at the hip. You got two joints here for knee articulation or whatever you really want to call it. You got a foot swivel forward and back. The arms up here, which will become his robot arms, are on ball joints, so a decent range of motion there. The elbows rotate, they move forward and back, and then the feet are on ball joints as well. The wings themselves, they do rotate around like so. they also rotate this way, and then there's another rotation right here. So you do get a fair amount of articulation with this, but because of the transformation, it sometimes gets caught here. You kind of have to make sure, because it wants to slide down sometimes, you do have to make sure that it's fully pulled back to be able to rotate it all the way around, because otherwise it'll slide down. You can see where the peg is there. It slides into this groove sometimes, and then it locks it. Just give it a little pull, and then you can rotate it all the way around. The head here will rotate left and right, and he does have a mouth that opens, and then you could actually see his head coming down there. But I love how they actually incorporated his head into part of the rotation. So as you're if you're rotating it this way, you can kind of sort of see it being knocked around in there, but moving it up and down here at the jaw doesn't really make his head come out. So that's really cool. I do like that. I love the fact that he's got these horns on here. I mean, just in general, I really do dig the way that this guy looks. He's very cool looking. I honestly, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the coloring on him, but it's a very cool look, and I'm very happy with it. It's like I said, one of my favorite looking. Now, in terms of a dragon comparison, here he is, and here we have him next to Laserback. And as you can see, there is a lot more substance really kind of looking with Laserback than this guy. He's a lot more fragile looking and a smaller dragon. Really gives him a very kind of sleek and very fast look. This guy is, to me, like the Blur version of the dragons. I mean, just so wicked cool. And you can see a huge difference in terms of the coloring. And then here we have him next to Ripclaw. And again, there's a thinness to Ripclaw, but it's just even more accentuated here with Skystalker. I mean, he just seems so much sleeker and just very fast looking. And I absolutely love the way that it looks. Now, as I mentioned, his transformation is very simple, and people have complained about him, but there is more involved in it than just standing him up. I was actually kind of surprised, and when you get him out of the package, he is vastly mistransformed. Believe it or not, there's a lot of very subtle movements that they didn't do in the packaging that hopefully I'll be able to show you here. Now, first what you want to do is come around here to his arms. You're just going to rotate these around. I will mention that there is a little tab on the inside here. It doesn't really seem to serve a purpose, and I actually rotated it wrong, and it broke the tab. You can see where it was stressed and then it just folded and broke. That's the same thing on this side here. Let me get this out of the way or something so you can actually see it. There it is. I just rotated it the wrong way. I went like this and went all the way around, and it actually pulled it or something like that. I don't remember exactly how I did it, but you do want to be careful. It doesn't affect anything really, so it's kind of a pointless tab to have there. So it's not that bad, but you're going to rotate this around, and then you're going to rotate the feet. Then you got little tabs on or a little hole on the inside here. Zooming in so that you can see that, because I know white on white is difficult, but you can see the little whole section here that's going to slot in here. You just bring that up. We'll get that rotated all the way around, and then you just slot that right in like so. Come around here to this side, rotate that around, rotate this, keep it around like that. There you go. Then, as you can see, you got the same whole section there. You got the same tab. You're just going to fit that in there, and you have his arms transformed. Then you actually want to position these where, like I said, the little white peg is kind of lined up with that slot right there. Then you actually lift this and then push this down at the same time. So line that up, slot that up, and then push that down. And you can actually see kind of like the gap in between there. So that slides that around. And like I said, very subtle. That wasn't like that in the actual, when you took it out of the packaging. So it's really interesting how they don't have things transformed right. And then you try to follow the instructions and you're already confused because, well, the instructions aren't starting from the right start position. So just getting these, rotating these, get these out of the way. Take this tail, lift this up. It is between these two legs just to kind of hold these two sections apart. Rotate this up, angle that in, and then you're going to bring these two halves together and lock that together. And again, this is a section that when you open it out of the package, it's already pushed together, but he's packaged in his dragon mode. So extend these out like so, bend this. Then there's actually it's supposed to be like a little heel, I'm assuming, but it doesn't really add too much to it. So just angle that, like so. We'll fiddle with that here in a little bit. Then you want to take this chest piece. Well, it's supposed to detach. Oh, actually, take this section here, get this out of the way. Angle this. You can see a little pivot here. Angle that down. I pulled out his leg. angle that down, that'll loosen up this. Then you can fold the head. You can see how it kind of accordions down like that. Just a little movement, not much. Fold the head or the jaw down, close that inside. So now the jaw is inside the chest cavity, and then reach up there, pull the head down like so. And then you can position the head. You can have the dragon head as far up as you want. You can have it kind of be like this, where it's kind of like a little hat. Rotate the arms around. Rotate that around. Make sure that that tail's all the way up. Now, the instructions also tell you to take this piece off. I have no idea why. It doesn't seem to tab anywhere else, so I just leave it on there. It doesn't really serve to be a weapon all that much, so just leave the thing's tail on there. Why do you have to take it off and make it more difficult for you? And then just angle the legs and get him positioned where the wings are kind of like so, and he is a little bit fiddly to stand, but here you have Skystalker in his robot mode. And to be totally honest, I would really say that his robot mode is probably the weakest. Not so much because of everything or how he looks, but specifically his legs. I mean, as you can see, they do have the chicken leg sort of thing going on, and these don't like staying out all that well. You can position these where, like I said, they're more of a heel as well, but it's so difficult to get him balanced when you have his wings kind of here on the back. If you keep him up, it's not bad at all, and you're going to get him to stand fairly well. You do still have to fiddle with things a little bit, and you can see that what you're basically doing is kind of bowing his legs back. So he is a kind of top heavy figure, and his legs really don't add a lot of stability to him. So that really is kind of unfortunate, and that's probably the biggest downfall about this guy. Now, you can get him to stand, but like I said, you're doing it when you're, well, kind of balancing his tail there. You're doing it, and it's really looking kind of goofy, and you really, like I said, have to keep these up and kind of swiveled over the top of them just to kind of give them a balance. And that really sucks. That I really don't like that. I mean, I can see why the legs are back. I mean, putting the legs back like this really does kind of help to distribute the weight a little bit better and give a little bit more support for him. I don't particularly like that look. I guess it's kind of ugly in itself, and I guess that would probably be my biggest complaint with the guy. I like being able to keep his legs straight, so in order to do so, you have to kind of angle it like this, and you can still get him to stand. I mean, don't get me wrong, but all that extra bit here in his legs just really kind of ruins it a little bit. And then if you get it like this, I mean, you can get him to stand. Don't get me wrong. It's not impossible to do. It's just a little bit more of a cumbersome mess to kind of do it, and you're slightly leaning them forward. As you can see here, it's not terrible, but there is a delicate balance with them. It really is just how you want to do it. Now, one thing that I actually did discover is that in the instructions, I don't think you actually show this. This actually can peg onto his arm, specifically his hand. It's kind of hard to see here, but you got a little nub right here, and then you got a groove slot here right on the outer side of his hand. That actually does fit on here, and as you can see, it just, well, you couldn't see it. Just put it right in like so, and that actually pegs in there, and it stays on there fairly nicely. So I'm assuming that's what you do with that in terms of a weapon, I guess. If that's the case, okay. I'm not going to be that big of a nitpicker about it, but and I don't know why I just put those away. They're supposed to be out. They don't really do much, to be totally honest with you. I mean, I can see where you're supposed to kind of bend it, I guess, maybe like this, and it's again a delicate balancing act to kind of give him more of a well, that gives him more of a squat look. I mean, and that looks more like his legs in his dragon. I don't like it. I don't like that aesthetic. But to be totally honest, most of these dragon transformers, I keep in their dragon mode, so it really doesn't matter to me all that much. Now, these also, like I said, these can swivel all the way around, so you can have him bring these forward and he can actually shoot these. One thing that's kind of weird, though, is the instructions actually tell you to push down here. But that doesn't do anything, so I don't know why they would tell you to do it. You actually have to push this, you got a little trigger thing here, and it shoots it out just like so. So you probably couldn't see it because it's white, and I know everybody's gonna, then why didn't you use a different color background? Well, whatever. So boom. So there's that. And like I said, I don't know why they tell you to push down here because there's no lever here to push down, but you're just doing that, and you can do that on both sides. So it's really kind of up to you. If you want to, you can completely leave these off, and it's ugly, but I mean, it's options, I suppose. You have more options. So you still have that going on, and the wings are still nicely articulated. The head just rotates left and right. It can't really do much else because it's kind of tucked in underneath his chest. The shoulders here are on ball joints, so move in and out all the way over the round, whatever way you want to go. They rotate here. One thing that does kind of suck is it really does give a very kind of thin underside to his arm, so I don't particularly like that. And you can see, I mean, that really is kind of ugly how that's not very closed off, and it really makes his arm thin looking. I wish there was a way. I mean, I do like how the arms attach on the outside here. I think that's a little bit unique instead of just folding under, but I really think that in this case you should have folded it under so that you can cover that gap in, because that is kind of ugly if you ask me. The hips are on ball joints, so they move forward and back. They also rotate, well, at the upper part of the thigh here, but that's very stiff, and you can see the ball joint popped out. And then, like I said, the knees, you got a knee joint here, you got a joint here, you got a swivel joint here in the foot. So a lot of articulation in the guy. You can get some really good poses with him in theory, but again, it just depends on how you really kind of position the wings and what kind of angle you have those put at. So overall, a nice looking figure. Not the best in this mode. It's probably the weakest of his two modes, but still very cool. And just zooming in so that you can actually see his face, that's what you're looking at. There's really not much to it. Very kind of bland in that. But you can see like some horns and such right there. And then for some size comparisons here in the actual robot mode, as you can see, in terms of a deluxe size figures, he is about the right height and such, but you do see he is a very thin looking figure, much like the dragon mode. And Laserback's just kind of a chunky looking dude just as it is, but there you're seeing the size comparison. Then for the transformation back, if you have this attached to him, go ahead and remove that, come around here to the tail, and just slot that right back in just like so. Gonna rotate these arms around, kind of position those like so. Do that on this side, lift that out, rotate these around just like so. Fold this chest bit down, take the head, you're gonna extend the neck area. Oh, well, you're gonna pull his entire head off. Oops, sorry, that just slots on there. There we go. So I rotated that around. So we're gonna extend that all the way back, fold that back up, and then you're going to angle this chest piece back. And like I said, that actually kind of locks this chest bit down. So that unlocks it. You can fold that down, folding that up, angling that, locks it into place like so. Get these wings kind of out of the way just to bring everything down. Come around here to these hip area, spread that out just like so. And this one on this side's a little bit loose and floppy. That's probably just on mine. Hopefully that's just on mine. But you're going to take this tail and you're going to bring this down and kind of tuck it underneath, and that kind of keeps them spread apart anyhow, so it doesn't really matter all that much. And then just angle these. You're going to position these really however you want. Tuck these bits down, rotate this around like so, fold the hands out, and then again what you're actually going to do is take these wings, fold these, kind of pull these back. There we go. You got to angle them back here, and then in doing so you're going to bring the joint down so you can then position those however you want. You can kind of bring this back here and find that sweet spot where it pulls back. It's actually on an angle here, so it's not too hard to find. And then angle this down just like so. Kind of at this point you're just basically straightening everything out. Lift the head all the way up, and you're just positioning this guy. So the transformation is very, very simple. That is not something that I'm going to dispute with anybody. It's a very simple transformation, and a lot of you guys may not like that. And then I actually like taking these and folding these down. So the transformation may be something that a lot of you guys really don't like on them. And that's perfectly understandable. I will completely concede that it is a very simple transformation, but I still really dig the way that he looks. The color is so very cool, and I really do think that the dragon mode here, without a doubt, is his best looking of his modes. And then, if you didn't tuck the head, tuck that right back up under there, and you can see it hides very nicely. So, it's a very cool looking dragon. The color is just something I'm really pulled in by, and to me is a very impressive looking transformation or transformer. Honestly, in terms of the aesthetic and the look of the Skystalker figure, I really am gonna say that this is probably my favorite of all the current dragons that we've gotten so far. Now this guy, as well as the rest of Wave 3 of the Deluxe class figures, will be available fairly soon. Or if you want to, go in and click on the link down in the video description. You go to Big Bad Toy Store and you can pre-order this guy in addition to the other Wave 3 figures. And honestly, so far, all of them are worth picking up. So I really would recommend picking up the whole wave. That way you save a little bit of money. And if you don't like those figures, you can always sell those to somebody else. But beyond that, that's about it, guys. So once again, thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Keep in touch with me. Find out recent purchases as well as all upcoming video reviews all at facebook.com/teambotimus. And follow me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.